Is the life of a broker tougher than that of a builder?
A lot tougher, and a broker has a lot more risks than a builder has.
So, one of the feedbacks I get from developers, I don't know how fair or unfair it is, tech guys don't understand real estate. Are they right?
To a very large extent, they are.
Technology and real estate, the biggest one at a valuation level is no broker.
Vishal, you tell me, is no broker in real estate?
Aren't they? While we talk a lot about technology, can that help in home prices? क्या मुझे सस्ता घर मिल सकता है कि नहीं?
It would be 25 to 30%. The cost of a home can just reduce overnight if a building is built 75% faster. What takes 4 years takes 1 year.
What's the one company you think that there's lots to learn from?
Outside of real estate, it would be Zepto. I'm actually in the first cohort of investors when it was called Kirana Card.
You haven't sold out yet.
Not a single share.
कितना बढ़ गया है? 20x, 30x, 50x.
We're talking about like 400, 500, 600x.
How easy was it to do your initial fundraising?
We were put on a call with Justin Martin.
Tinder.
He's a co-founder of Tinder, one of the great product minds in the world who built like literally the left-right swipe as, functionality.
There's a common perception, developers बहुत कमाते हैं. So how much do developers really make?
So if you're operating with low or no debt, developer margins are like 40% on projects.
So why do you think developers don't respect buyers?
Because they don't need to.
In today's episode of Unravel, let's unravel the world of technology in real estate. And for that, I met last month Aditya Jhaveri of Blox, a man who became a broker at the age of 19, but is today helming a company that's regularly hitting the headlines in the technology business of real estate. He tells me why technology and real estate have not come together, but says that the time is ripe to make it happen now. He believes home prices can come down meaningfully if technology can play its role, and housing construction can happen even faster with the support of technology. Let's hear him out. Hi Aditya,
How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Shall we begin the show?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So thank you Aditya for this. You're the first guest I've ever had on any of my shows who's in the Proptech space. And one of the challenges that I've had is that most of the time I've heard Proptech conversation, I find it more or less going over my head. Okay. Now maybe it's a weakness with me that I don't understand the tech, or I'm too ingrained in real estate as a business. But I'm hoping this conversation, by the time we end it, I have been educated a lot on Proptech, and along with me all the viewers who are watching this. So, first thing, how does a guy who started out as being a individual broker, जिसको लोग बोलते हैं phone पे घनश्याम, Salim broker, become a guy who is now making headlines in PropTech? How does that happen?
So Vishal, thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to our conversation as well. Yeah, so it's an interesting story. I started as a one-man broker actually many years ago. So when I was about 19 years old, by sheer chance, it so happened that I was here on my summer holidays from college. I used to study in London. I ended up brokering a deal in the sense that someone was like, oh, in that building, I think I would like a flat. And I happened to know someone in that building who had a flat for sale, and I ended up putting them together, and then I made some brokerage. So I was 19 years old. It was, South Bombay real estate, so the brokerage at 2% was meaningful. So I was like, okay.
How much was the amount that time?
I think it was to the tune of something like 14 lakhs, give or take. It was like about 7 crores a flat. So 2% I got.
Big money basically for that time.
Thoughts started running in my head that, okay, if I finish LSE and I get a top job at an investment bank like the top ones with like Goldman Sachs, this would be what I could make. And if I basically did 2 or 3 brokerages a year at this level where I'm selling like a flat, I would break even. So anything I did over and above that would be, better. So it was obviously a tough decision, but then I had like some personal events in my life also which happened. When I was at LSE, then my dad passed away when I was 19. And then as circumstances would have it, I came back to Bombay. And when I came back to Bombay, I was like, let's do a little bit more of this. Let's try. And it picked up slowly. That graduated into like what today is known as an IPC. At that time it was like a more organized brokerage, like you're more like, you know, you do things not as a one man Ghanshyam or Salim broker, but you have systems, processes, 4 5 employees. So I did that till about say 2016. In 2016 I got the opportunity to enter, like it's I believe most brokers dream to, like, you know, go up the value stream to become like a small developer. So 2020 now COVID hits.
Babe, before this part of COVID, I'm very interested to know, is the life of a uh, broker tougher than that of a builder?
A lot tougher, a lot tougher. And a broker has a lot more risks than a builder has. Fundamentally, a builder, like if you think about it in terms of how like markets work, a builder makes money based off of land, right? Or land ownership or development rights ownership. So if you think about it structurally, like if someone was holding land 10 years ago, which they're still holding, most likely they will make a lot more money today than they would have made 10 years ago off the land. So that's not return on time. For a broker, it's return on time. So if the poor broker spends 6 months trying to broker a deal between two people, and for any reason that deal breaks, that's 6 months that the broker's wasted with limited or no income. So it's much tougher to do that, and it's also a lot more disorganized. Like you have very little power in the transaction. You're afraid of getting sandwiched between the builder and the customer, and you're essentially playing the role of a shock absorber between the two. So, you know, every bad thing that they can't say to each other, they say to you.
So until 2016 broker, 2016 to 2020 builder, and after 2020 is a tech entrepreneur.
Yes. So 2020 COVID hit. That changed everything in the world. It changed everything for us, for me, for India, for my co-founder Shivani. One of the big things that happened was we saw insanity in digital adoption. You had businesses going from no users to like million, 5 million, 10 million users at a platform level in 1 month, 3 months. Proptech was needed before COVID also, and markets were there before COVID also. But when COVID happened, the market worsened a lot, and the need for PropTech became illustrated a lot, because you couldn't do physical things. You couldn't do site visits. You couldn't do construction. You had a lot of issues where you had migrant labor all over the city which was stranded, which couldn't go home. You had problems of like execution of any kind of work because all the government machinery was busy dealing with the crisis. So nobody was like looking at building approvals at that time, at least for the first 6 months. So the gap we realized, Shivani and I, through a lot of conversations and a lot of work, what we realized at that time was that this is a massive problem and a massive opportunity, and it's going to take years, lots of capital and immense amounts of hard work to like solve this problem for India. But the ability to say that we build a digital backbone or a digital operating system or infrastructure in India which allows transactions to take place, which means that we are ready and evolved into the second leg of PropTech transformation, which happened worldwide but did not happen in India, where there is data, where people know exactly what pricing is, they know what inventory is live and not live. If they are going for a site visit, it can be fully digitized. All the did a person visit, how many times they visited, did they visit with their family. From that we could gain insights, we could work backwards and help developers plan product better, so you don't have a situation where the developer is building a wrong product in the wrong market. And all these problems 10, 15, 20 years ago in the US or in the UK were solved. So it wasn't even, it was just one of those like glaring opportunities where we were like, oh my God, this is going to happen, this has to happen. So, you know, we always give the examples of Swiggy, or we give the examples of Zomato. Now, these kinds of guys, like, why did it work, right? So when you had Zomato version 1 and you had people coming to see menus and then dealing directly with the restaurant, that's kind of where what we thought PropTech was at. But when Swiggy came in, they added the delivery element, which brought in from lead sourcing to restaurant arranging to delivery partner delivering. And we realized that that's what India needs. So when a person goes on any of the other platforms in India, which are all listing or classifieds platforms, and at that time it was like, what's even the point of this, right? Like you go there, you give your lead, and at that time it's so acute that no one can show you the property, the listings will be wrong, what is listed will be wrongly priced. and there was no verification. So in essence, anybody can list anything. How do you even know what you're seeing is true? So that was a massive customer problem. But the Swiggy effect to restaurants was what relative to Zomato? That a restaurant sale could go up 4-5x. Why could that happen? Because one could order, there was a terminal that the restaurant had which could pack and give the food. There's a delivery partner, everybody's clued in on that one small few ₹100 transaction on a single transaction basis.
How far are we from the example you gave us of Swiggy? In a way, how that transformed the food ordering space. How far has real estate come to becoming almost like Swiggy for a consumer?
I mean, I think we've brought it closest to that now. You can book a home online sitting here now. That's unprecedented. Even when I talk to global Proptech founders, you can go on Blox, see multiple homes, you can have multiple virtual tours, you are able to select like different properties and compare them. There is no compare otherwise in real estate, like a real comparison of value versus price, for example, or amenities, or brand, or developer quality. These are very important decisions when the consumer is actually making the choice. All PropTech platforms in the world, not in India, have come to this conclusion over time that in this business, it is critical for any platform to have access to its own supply, or at least exclusive supply, or have some supply moat in addition to the tech moat. When I'm approaching a consumer, my only proposition cannot be that I have the world's best customer service in real estate, but I really have no moat in terms of getting you that house where I have some disproportionate advantage to someone else.
How do you get that? This moat that you're talking about, getting your own supply. How do you get this supply? Like just when I log in to see a house, I do 2 BHK, Thane, West or whatever. I get many platforms. What is the edge that a platform can get in such a world?
Yeah. So Blox is the only platform in India by far which has this quantum of fixed supply. We have close to 25,000 crores of fixed supply now, which you call exclusive supply. And the way we were able to get this was because we entered the mandate business and we aggressively started acquiring mandate companies.
What's a mandate business in simple language?
So essentially the mandate business is when in around 2017-18, this business also kind of came to scale and to the fore. And the business was where a developer outsources the entire sales and marketing of the asset to a mandate player. It's also referred to as institutional channel partner, ICP. What that does is you become kind of like a master broker. So the developer gives you the whole site. You are advising them on the marketing, branding, positioning, how the typology should be, what the demand supply will be, so on and so forth. You're helping them plan the entire sales cycle. The mandate player is essentially responsible for selling the inventory on behalf of the developer, handling the customer, handling all the brokers, and so on and so forth.
So mandate player is basically like a wholesaler.
You could say that.
There is a master broker on top who the builder appoints to sell stock. The master broker then engages with these smaller brokers, and then in a joint effort, they sell the stock for the builder.
Yes.
Okay.
So now we were the retail broker as Blox, dealing directly with the customer. In the same business, we also had a mandate business, separate vertical with separate data, with separate leads, completely different, which was developer facing. So the developer would give you the inventory, and that's for the first time where we started our interaction with brokers, because it would be limiting for the developer if we didn't allow other brokers to participate and only let Blox participate. So that's where Blox started working in partnership with other brokers as well to sell inventory. So it's the first time we have a system in India where anybody or any company is controlling supply and demand. And you know, Vishal, like all the incumbents who were there in 2020, the state is still there, the same is still now. Their revenue streams are lead generation, listing fees, advertising. We don't have a single ad on Blox. We've never made a single dollar of advertising revenue. And for a very long time, we actively will not. We don't want to do that. We want to focus on one thing, which is the ability for the buyer to buy in the easiest, most convenient, most friendly way, with the most knowledge, with the most data, with 100% buyer centricity, and help the developer sell in a way where he's able to sell well. Like if he's able to sell fast, he's able to sell with good CRM, his brand is able to uphold, some kind of strength in terms of how they are dealing with the customer, which we are enabling for them.
So, one of the feedbacks I get from developers, I don't know how fair or unfair it is. They say, Vishal, these tech guys don't understand real estate, which is why tech and real estate have not really merged, unlike other industries. Are they right?
To a very large extent, they are.
They are.
I would have to say they are, and that is the central thesis of Blox also. We genuinely believe that the tech companies that came in before us, a lot of guys, there was also a lot of talented people who were heavily funded who tried to make a dent in prop tech or in real estate tech. But what ended up happening was that they tried to pursue metrics and work in a manner that is like any other tech business. They did not want to get their hands dirty. They did not want to enter core real estate. Okay, if X platform is getting so many millions of traffic a month, why are they not able to sell 1 square inch of real estate? We realized that that would never work in real estate tech, and the others probably didn't or were forced by their VCs to go down that track.
Why would it work in India, that model?
It's not about India, Vishal, it's about real estate. See, the fact when you are in any of these businesses, what is the principle of a CAC to LTV ratio that I acquire a customer once and he buys repeatedly? That's just not going to happen in real estate. So if we accept that and say, mostly a person's going to buy a home once. Maybe in a lifetime of that person, they'll buy 2 homes where they'll sell one and buy the other. I'm talking about the average population, the consumer, not even the investor. Now in that kind of circumstance, what is the point of chasing monthly active users, daily active users, or average revenue per user? It takes a lot more to transact. It takes a lot more to get a consumer's trust and a developer's trust and make them transact, and then do that at the scale of 15, 20, 30,000 homes a year.
In Proptech or technology in real estate, since the Proptech word I think gets a lot of people very unnerved. So technology in real estate, the biggest one is at a valuation level is NoBroker. I in fact met one of the founders some time back, and he was telling me when they try to disrupt that space, people attack their offices, so on and so forth. Since then, I think valuation has been strong for them, but I get the feel that their business model has pivoted, given realities. Do you think that's the model of the future, NoBroker? Does NoBroker impress?
Vishal, you tell me, is NoBroker in real estate?
Aren't they?
Like, what is real estate, right? So today they are not in the transaction at all. Now, NoBroker originally was able to make the same value streams of revenue as anybody else, like a housing or a 99 acres or a Magic Bricks, which is listing fees, lead based monetization, however that happens, and advertising fees. Now, as you mentioned, they've pivoted into businesses which are post-home services, getting painters, getting people to help you with movers and packers and services around the home, but not about the home. And we essentially don't think that they are in real estate as such, in the sense that they aren't competing with us for market share of real estate brokerage. So, we wish them the best, but essentially they are competitors to someone like a UrbanCompany.
So basically you're saying that NoBroker is not a PropTech only.
They are not really PropTech, right? They started out, maybe their vision was to do it, but now they've very clearly pivoted out. We want to build the whole offline world online and create that infrastructure where the different nodes talk to each other and create net efficiency in the whole industry. It's not to know anybody or no broker or no developer. It's not a negative thing. We want to improve the lives of millions, and India has 1 million brokers. No broker really has nothing to do with the transaction market, and therefore it's just, at this point, it's a brand, not really operating in that world.
Do you think the fundamental, no broker, can that exist in a market like real estate?
I think so, and more than in real estate, in India, brokers are integral to the transaction. They offer an additional layer.
I put out any content or I meet buyers. The common, I think, buyer hates brokers.
You're right. I mean, to a large degree, it is true, and a lot of buyers will complain about brokers, and brokers have also, in many cases, not done right by buyers. But I think it's it's not something that one can just generalize.
Should brokers be paid only on a transaction, or you think there is a model that can come wherein they get paid without a transaction as well, so that उनका वो mindset नहीं है कि deal करो deal करो deal करो. Do you think there's a model that can emerge in this? A fixed plus variable fee.
It can, it can, but I don't see that happening in the short term. The truth of the market is you have more than 1 million brokers in India. It's a highly fragmented market. So like 1 million brokers, like if you see the data, are earning $4 to $5 billion of brokerage a year. What is needed is for brokers to be fully empowered. What is needed is for brokers to be paid on time. What is needed is, for example, in RERA now they've said that you have to name the broker in the agreement. So the broker is protected, which means that there's no scenario where the brokers like introduce someone to a project and 6 months later the developer and the customer make the deal and cut the broker out, which like has happened. Like if you interviewed 1,000 brokers, 900 would say that this has happened to me at least once in my career. So a cycle of distrust is there. The consumer doesn't trust the broker doesn't trust the developer, and the same thing in reverse, that I can just go with a better builder, I won't buy. And over time, a second tier builder may like not have enough brand equity that anyone may ever buy a home from his branding.
Yeah, in technology, one of the frustrations I have daily is the number of spam calls I get. When will there be a technology that can solve that experience?
AI will solve this totally. And why will AI solve this totally? Is because when the perfect lead matching happens, when exactly what the customer wants is what the system is able to show them, and it's able to actually match demand and supply, you will not have to go down this aggressive or desperate way of sales that is there today, where this today seems to be the most cost effective solution for people to do it en masse. That spam call thousands of people, from that some bucket will be interested and from that some bucket will convert. One is when AI is able to actually price real estate, and it's able to like understand pricing of real estate and work in transparent data, where it knows that actually this sale that's happening in this area is real, and therefore we can recommend to the developer that reduce or increase price, recommend to the user that should I buy now or wait, or so on and so forth. I think at that point there would be no need only, right, for aggressive sales tactics. Like me as a buyer knows exactly what my options are.
Why are Indian residents forced to be under this harassment? अभी तक क्यों नहीं हुआ?
See, I mean, the evolution of technology changes a lot of things, right? I think when you see the waves of global technology evolution, India skipped what we have an internal thesis of like phase one, phase two, phase three. So India missed the entire phase two. What I mean is phase one is listings platforms, classifieds platforms, which happened in all industries. Like, you have a shadi.com or you have a naukri.com. So similarly, you had a housing.com or whoever else. Now, that at that time was cutting edge 15 years ago. Then you had a second evolution globally, which is where transaction enablement happened, which is platforms like Zillow or Compass, which is more broker facing. Zillow is more, it's got its own business model. Open Door is the iBuyer, which actually buys real estate using AI and then sells it to people. So this entire wave for the last 10, 15 years, India just skipped. Nobody even attempted to create high value products for any one of these things with these business models. Now we are in what we will call Proptech 3.0, which is AI-led Proptech. So today you have large language models which have come out, and large language models which, if you follow the AI landscape, which are like exponentially improving. It's just that, sometimes some things don't happen, or the circumstances of funding or macroeconomics or founder quality, or there's some factor which does not allow this technological evolution to happen. And then when it happens all at once, like how UPI. The people here of India are not actually averse to technology. That's what we learn, right? It's just that the technology has let them down. It's of no use to them. You go today on any of the other platforms except Blox, where will your customer journey end? You will connect to a broker, you will put your name and number and say request call back. That's it. There's nothing more that they can do for you as a consumer. That is the problem. Proptech is to blame, not consumers.
Okay, fair point. One of the, I think the most famous prop tech is, okay, the most famous prop tech entrepreneur is a guy called Rahul Yadav. Now, he had a journey who you mentioned in one of the earlier responses, housing.com. Then he came with another venture, Broker Network. Since then, a massive issue happened where the company went bankrupt. The legal proceedings are on with one of their investors. I'm curious to know your thought that for a company like Broker Network or Housing.com, was the business model wrong or was the entrepreneur running it wrong?
Now, as far as broker network is concerned, like we go back to the utility of the product, right? And when I say product, I mean like a technology product, like the app or whatever. It had no use case. So what I mean is that broker network scaled erratically with a lot of capital without finding product market fit. मैं आपको बोल रहा हूँ, it's called broker network. आप brokers को पूछ लो, कोई भी broker को उसका कोई use था. Means what I'm trying to say is there something that the app did which allowed them to say augment their income durably with a long term basis, not like giving people money to like do X or Y. Like it's not, I mean, a very famous entrepreneur said, if I stand on the street with 100 rupee notes and I start giving them to everybody, I'll get all the customers, right? Every person will come in and then I'll say, I have so many customers. So if I'm just like doing that, like I'm giving people, okay, if a broker does a site visit, I'll give him 300 rupees. Like that was the model, right? What is the use of that?
Simplified language, what was the model?
Was that they were paying brokers to make site visits happen and they were charging an upmarked fee to the developer for that. And very upfront, you can see like how many problems this would cause, right? Like this is not realistic. This is not sustainable or durable. So yeah, you may scale it rapidly and say I got 100,000 brokers on the platform in 6 months, 1 year. But then all the brokers started leaving the platform. And the reason is because how long can you just keep paying them to stay on your platform, right? So ultimately, like anything in life, substance matters. So if you build a product, मतलब कोई भी चीज का use होना चाहिए, right? Like if something is absolutely useless, are you going to open that app on your phone every day? Whether you're a builder, whether you're a broker, whether you're a consumer, say for 2 years, they were like trying to build product which was great for the broker. Like let's bring in this layer of intelligence. Let's bring in this use case for them. Let's try to make 2 brokers connect to do a deal. Oh, hundreds of ideas that are there in different startups in the world. Things could work. And we are trying very hard to do it. I'm not saying we'll succeed for sure or we know better than everyone. But one thing I guarantee you is we'll give it 100%. We'll find the resources to deploy. And when we do it, we will do it with the full belief that we believe this is useful for developers, brokers, so on and so forth. And today we've done that for the consumer. For the consumer, you can go right now, you can book a home, pay your deposit, the money goes into the developer's bank account, you get your cost sheet automated, you get your KYC done automated. You can literally buy a home online today on Blox. So,
how big a factor do you think was ego in the fall of Broker Network? One quote that struck me very hard when, I think 5-6 years of it, where he said something like, I don't think India is yet ready for technology business from me.
The market is not ready or attuned to what I'm building, sure, but that's not the market's problem. The market is never wrong, right? Like, so the whole purpose of entrepreneurship is to build something useful for people to make their lives better. My point is more about before all that happened also, was it a sound business model? Is there something we can learn from that? And everything we can learn from that is what not to do. It's not a sound business model and it's not right to scale something which does not have a compelling use case.
Who's the one guy who you think, as an entrepreneur, you said that some of the PropTech companies, there's nothing to learn from. What's the one company you think that there's lots to learn from?
I mean, I am biased to this one because, I'm an investor in the company. But that would be like outside of real estate, it would be Zepto.
Okay, Zepto, you're an investor there.
Yeah, I'm actually in the first cohort of investors before like it was institutional investors came on. When it was called Kirana Cart, it actually had a different business model at that time, and then they pivoted to Q-commerce. And I've been an investor throughout.
Yeah,
So
you haven't sold out yet.
not a single share. So yeah,
How much have you gained there? Zepto has seen some
I
phenomenal
don't want to
rise
get
in
into
valuation.
exact numbers and all, but it would be in the shortest period of time one of the highest gaining investments of all time of anybody because, like,
कितना कितना होगा? कितना कितना बढ़ गया है?
it,
20x, 30x, 50x.
no, boss. I mean, I think we are off by an order of magnitude. So, so
मतलब
Zepto's Y Combinator round happened at $7 million, and today it's a $5 billion company. So we're talking about like 400, 500, 600x based on when people got in. Considering I got in like at the YC round or even rather before that.
But
From
see, Zepto also isn't like the most profitable company. You spoke about broker network, which obviously was not profitable, but it had other issues in that. So, are two unprofitable companies very different in a way?
Of course, right? So that's actually a very great question because you can actually see them in parallel, right? Like they've obviously like Zepto, a company like Zepto, like from what everybody knows, has raised a lot more money and burned a lot more money than something like a broker network. But the point is, like, what are they trying to do, right? Zepto brought something into this country that had never happened before. They proved a business model that till last year most people believed is not provable. And that business model is they create a real beneficial use case for the user, where in 10 minutes you get something at home. Is that beneficial to a consumer? That's a very different situation. So the reason I said it's a great question is because it's not like if a company is losing money or if it's unprofitable, by definition it's bad. The question is, what are you burning the money on? The question is, what is your actual strategy? What is your long term goal? How are the numbers improving month on month? I think it would be a disservice to like compare the two companies in the sense of like what they tried to do, because I think one was just like a boom and bust and like a quick it never caught on, to be frank. And I think Zepto is a generational company. It's a disruptive company.
How easy is it to raise money? You've been on both sides of the table. Blocks has raised money in the past, right? And you've also invested, which seems to have done very well for you with the 400x return, at least in one company. How easy is it to raise money as a technology company in real estate?
It's hard. It is hard because investors traditionally don't like this space so much, and the reason they don't like it is because it's very hard to execute in this space. Your counterparties who you're dealing with are real estate developers, brokers, and real estate home buyers for the most part. Now, in this, if you don't deeply enter the world of interaction with builders, brokers, and you don't actually like work with the stakeholders, it's almost an impenetrable market.
How much is Blocks raised so far?
So Blocks is raised about we've raised between 40 and 50 million at this point. We are like
So around
in the
300
middle of
crores.
some round of financing even at present.
Is it easy to tell a builder that his pricing is wrong?
It's very hard and they don't listen, and most of the times they will only like take that like seriously when they get burnt. So they're not like listening to advice. They'll do a launch and then they'll fail because the price is too high, and then they'll have to like do a relaunch or segue in some different direction. This comes back to, if the developer knows that if I priced it X percentage lower, I would have higher sales. You can make that choice. You can say, I don't mind slow sales. I want my price for my reasons. But I think most people make most decisions blind, which leads to them suffering, which leads to them causing others to suffer, and creates a general environment of opacity, mistrust, fragmentation.
Tell me, Aditya, while we talk a lot about technology, सबसे बड़ा क्वेश्चन फॉर मोस्ट पीपल इज कि कैन दैट हेल्प इन होम प्राइसेस? क्या मुझे सस्ता घर मिल सकता है कि नहीं?
Today, even construction technology, whether it's an AI powered construction tech platform, which like eases procurement, which also brings in efficiency and lowers cost, or it's robotic construction, or it's robotic painting, which is AI first in today's world. And all of these things, like you may have seen, like there are 3D printed homes which are being already tried in India by an Indian developer. The next 10 years of real estate cost is certain to go down. 110%, the cost of construction and the speed of construction are both going to be massively different,
By how
right?
much? By how much?
So if I had to guesstimate, like I'm very bullish on this. I think we would have a 50% drop in the cost of construction. But the more interesting one is we would have a 75% reduction in the speed of making a building. Like, to be very clear, if it's a 4 or 5 year construction cycle, that can be done in 1 year, and that has been displayed over and over and over again.
Assuming the builder margin profitability remains the same, how much can home prices come down by if technology is adopted on a large scale?
Vishal, upfront, I believe it would be 25 to 30%. The cost of a home can just reduce overnight if everybody, all the stakeholders in the ecosystem were using technology to weed out just inefficiencies.
So that's a game changer. 25 to 30% is big then.
It's a game changer. This is today's state, and over the next 10 years, I think it would be a fraction, because just think about the ripple effects, right? If a building is built 75% faster, what takes 4 years takes 1 year. Think about the developer's interest cost saving, for example. That would probably constitute 15 to 20% of the total project cost. Now just imagine that doesn't exist, because I've built the building so much faster. Over and above that, at the core construction level, you'll have a massive efficiency where 50% all cost can come down, true construction cost. Sales and marketing cost, if AI-based lead matchmaking happens, where truly leads are able to be matched with existing inventory, live inventory in the market in real time, like a person has a real option to buy that house, we are talking about a whole new world of abundance and efficiency, where builders will earn more and home buyers will pay less.
So basically, you're saying like a typical average price in Mumbai, which is like 33,000, 34,000 rupees per square feet based on some data, that can instantly come down by 25% to about what? About 25,000 rupees per square feet. That's a sort of affordability that can rise if technology is adopted and the builder margin remains the same.
Of course, 100%.
For you, how easy was it to do your initial fundraising? What's the toughest question they asked you, because you do Proptech, and Proptech is never the flavor of the season.
Like, what happened is we were put on a call with Justin Martin, who was the founder of Tinder, who actually ended up then leading our seed round. And
Tinder.
He's a co-founder of Tinder, one of the great product minds in the world, who built like literally the left-right swipe as functionality, which so many different industries then copied. So when we spoke to Justin at that time, it was like a organic, the same pitch we were giving everybody, and I thought it would be like a 50, 100,000 kind of investment, and we were at 950,000, so we were like, okay, 1 million, we'll close it out. So like about 5-7 minutes into the call, Justin said, like, listen, don't talk to me at all like you're talking to an investor. I come from a founder mindset, and tell me, like, I believe that, I've come to understand that this is like a very large vision. Like, there is an opportunity to build something massive or disrupt something massive here. And just talk to me about that, and don't mention any kind of like projections or this or that, because I don't really care. So I was like, okay, I started with it, and I was telling him, okay, this can happen in the long term, that can happen in the long term. And he's like, listen, just talk to me, founder to founder. If everything works your way, how big can this get? Show me like a 10 billion, 20 billion, $50 billion vision. Does it exist? So the next 5 minutes were mine. I showed him the vision, that what actually it can happen. And he was like, okay, this is amazing. Now the second part is founders have to be decisive. Show me that. I want to invest like $1 million more in the company right now. You have to close it on this call or we don't do it. So in 2 minutes, we were like, okay, we'll structure it this way. The $1 million raise has become a $2 million raise. The valuation has gone from X to Y. And in the next 5 minutes, it's closed. And that's the story. That's how Blox was born. We did a $2 million raise, no product, no nothing, pure vision,
That's
not
what.
even actually fully conceptualized. It was a idea of a product, an idea of what today is the Blox.xyz platform, but very clear focus from that day to this day that we only take developer listings. So it solves the verification problem. We don't have random people listing random things on blocks which are maybe untrue. That can never happen because we control all the supply that gets listed. Then phase two, we went and like acquired mandate companies and did mandates ourselves. So at present we have like about 150 launches this year in Bombay. We'll do 150 buildings will be sold solely by Blox in Bombay.
In your experience, what do you think most investors look for in promoters when they want to invest? What's the one trait that they look for in promoters based on your experience?
Vishal, that's a pretty deep question. What matters most to investors is resilience, your ability to survive downturns, your ability to, handle adversity. Has the founder ever, like one of the questions they'll ask is, what is the toughest problem you've ever solved or faced in your life? Over time, we've come to realize that it's how you survive the downturn that's all that matters. Like when the going's good, everybody is like, just elevated and all the numbers are big and everything is exciting, and we've been there.
Have you ever faced that situation where you might have to wind up blocks?
Not wind up. We've of course faced a lot of like
What's the toughest obstacle you have faced so far in the journey?
we faced obstacles which in a natural early stage of a startup come very regularly. Like we may feel something may give a lot of results, like a product may lead to a lot of sales, or a feature may lead to a lot of sales, or a mandate may go very well and it doesn't go well, and it puts us at in short term in like kind of an issue, a problem in any kind of situation. I think why we've been able to dominate over time is because we have come out of each one of those extremely strong, and we've been very quick to react and respond to the problem, acknowledge it, and try to very fast address it. Like today, one of the big things we've done is, right, we, like a lot of people, try to scale mandate companies. We tried to scale a mandate company. We were doing very large mandate operations. We acquired companies along the way which we extinguished them, like we took in our brand, for example, and we built a good operation. But at one point we realized that the logistics of running a sales heavy 1,000 person organization of sales is very different than running a tech company. So we were very quick to move on that. We were very quick to say, okay, the way we do it is we want to own this inorganically, and then we want to bring in the technology and merge the sales and technology long term in this way, rather than try to actually go and individually without process do the same thing mandate companies do and try to sell real estate. We're the fastest growing Proptech company ever. In 4 years we've hit this scale where today between us, Guardians, the volume that we are selling in real estate is unprecedented in India. I mean, it's never happened before, and even if it's happened, it's never happened at this speed before.
In your pulse at this point of time, you spoke about Zepto, that one of the companies you admire. In the real estate space, who's good according to you? You have seen many developers close, probably sometimes too close. Who's the best? Why?
So a developer that I admire is definitely Lodha. Lodha, I've watched, and we've all watched them from their first development or that to the scale that they operate at now. Lodha also operates across the highest to the lowest price point. So they are, they are able to sell in Palava and all 20, 30, 40 lakh rupee units. And then you have Lodha Malabar literally doing the largest transaction by ticket size ever in hyper luxury market. So I think the ability to do that for so many years at such a large scale is some unparalleled execution prowess. In addition to that, they've brought in a lot of new things into the real estate business and industry. So today, most excellent sales and marketing talent that come in real estate that we hire would have at some point worked in Lodha and come from that. They brought for the first time, these concepts like EOIs and the way they brought in sales and marketing, understanding and westernization of selling product. This all came from Lodha, say 10, 15 years ago, which today the whole industry is kind of derivative from there. And it's a great thing. They've moved the whole industry forward in that way.
You mentioned that in one of the earlier responses that right now, not just besides selling homes, you're now into construction, building your own homes. Uh, is it easy to sell homes or to build homes?
Um, Interesting question. So, as you know, like the business of, let me put it this way: the business of converting land into homes is is very hard, and I'm sure you know about it. You've spoken to so many developers, and that's more like, you know, execution factors, local factors that come into play. That's a very different and a very hard business in that way, but it's also highly like remunerative business. Like developers make a lot of money, as everybody knows.
How much money do they really make? You know, there's a common perception, developers बहुत कमाते हैं, बहुत कमाते हैं, बहुत कमाते हैं. A lot of stock analysts who track the listed companies, they say, विशाल ज़्यादा नहीं कमाते. So how much do developers really make? कितना पैसा बनता होगा average पे?
No, see, developers are operating with very high margins, right? Like today, the question can be asked that why is every major corporate in India, you know, the men of steel and cement and clothing and all these guys, like literally the Tatas and Birlas of India, why have they entered real estate at such a large scale with such large investment? And the reason is the margin. It's an unprecedented margin, right, relative to any other industry which offers the same scale. So hypothetically, if you want to do a couple of thousand crores in revenue, I mean, when you're in retail, if you're making like 5% net, like a D-Mart, that's a fantastic outcome, right? If you're in an Asian Paints kind of business, you're making 7-8% net, that's a fantastic business. I don't think in real estate, any project that I've ever known in my life has been below 25-30% kind of profitability. And if you literally understand the difference between the EBITDA level and the PAT level, that's also massive because developers have so much debt. So if you're operating with low or no debt, developer margins are like 40% on projects. And that I'm saying if you acquire today, if you add historical land price, like a developer, most developers come from legacy, most developers have historical land. So it's like over 30-40 years, you imagine what land prices have become.
Tell me, you're at the very unique vantage point, dealing with buyers, dealing with sellers, dealing on behalf of sellers. 2025, what's the outlook looking like?
2025 is going to further deepen the consolidation in the industry. It's going to be a fantastic year of transformation like the past few years have been. And you will see disproportionate market share going into the hands of good actors. So your branded large-scale developers will see prices go up with demand going up, which is like beyond fantastic. And your tier 2, 3 developers, only branded developers, the top 10% of developers, if you had to say. But your tier 2 and tier 3 developers are going to have an existential threat because they're going to see prices also they're not going to realize the prices like the tier 1, and they're also going to face low demand. Because fundamentally, the consumer now has the choice to buy from multiple massive conglomerates who are not from real estate and who run real estate like they ran their businesses for 50 years, 100 years in a very good way.
Okay, last couple of questions. Abhinandan Lodha on one of my podcasts said that home buyers in India do not get the credit that they deserve for the risk and the capital that they provide for an under construction project.
The home buyer takes all the risk, the home buyer puts in all the capital, and the only thing he's asking at the end of that journey is please make sure you deliver to what you promised to me. I think builders value home buyers. I think the amount of respect they deserve is much more and should be more. And I'm sure with the new generation that will happen.
Is he right? Do you agree with that assessment?
I do. To a very large extent, the home buyer is the funder of the entire industry. More than even any bank or NBFC's impact, the trust that the home buyer places when they buy under construction is so immense, right? And the amount of capital like that they deploy, like entire buildings today will be 30, 40, 50% pre-sold before they are ready. So they are the unsung financiers of the real estate industry. But you know, when we talk about finance, we'll always talk about institutions. We don't talk about the collective of thousands or tens of thousands of people going and buying under construction home and funding it via construction linked payments. That's the only reason developers can develop, honestly.
So if that's the case, why do you think developers don't respect buyers?
Because they don't need to. Like, see, we operate in the essential asset class. We operate in roti kapda makan. In roti kapda makan, you need a house, you need shelter. So when you need that, and when you're essentially operating in, if a person wants a house in the next building, no matter what anybody says or what customer service they get or what financing they get, it's a very emotional choice also. It's a very permanent choice. Like, you're thinking about the next 10, 20 years, your family, quality of life. So today, even if they are treated poorly, that thing that once I get this house, my life will be great is there for the home buyer, and it's true.
Because benchmarks are so low कि घर दे दिया वही काफी है.
Yeah, I mean, first the barrier that you have to cross is when you're buying under construction, which people still like have to, because there's not that much ready stock in new buildings available, and fundamentally you want a good quality of life for your family. The fact that you're getting the home is such a big deal because we come from a place where 10 years ago people were not sure that the builder will build the home. So now it's like, what is a good builder? He built my home. Even if he's 1 year, 2 years late, people will be like, no, he's a good builder. Ultimately, he built it. So you're not holding them to the same benchmarks that you're holding a 10-minute delivery guy to, because if he takes 11 minutes, you're like, boss, move to the next platform.
Okay, so my last question, Aditya, to you. One thing I noticed while I was doing some research on you is that a lot of people from very varied backgrounds seem to know you. Okay? From a landowner to even a mischievous landowner to developers, some high profile brokers, and I think broadly even people outside the system. What is the secret formula of Aditya that he's made a big networking impact? One of the guys told me that Aditya is like Rajiv Shukla of real estate. What's the story behind it? How do you meet so many different people and manage to stay friends with all of them, or at least they believe you're friends with them?
No. I am friends with a lot of people in real estate, and I think it's just, it's not like I intended to like network with everyone and everyone be my friend. It was not intentional, like in that way, like planned, but it's been a long journey, right? I started at 19, today I'm 33. Along the entire journey, I started as a one-man broker. So a lot of the bigger developers in today, a lot of whom, they are like older, like more towards retirement. So I started out like trying to sell one flat or one land or this or that. So over time, network builds on network. So, I worked with a certain set of developers for the first 6-7 years of my career. Then when I became a developer, I interacted with a lot of developers, architects, and all the other stakeholders of real estate. And over time, a situation arises where today, like for example, Blox sells for 500 developers a year through its platform. With our strategic investment in Guardians, today we are exposed to 150 launches of assets in Bombay in a year, which is all tier 1 or many tier 1 developers which work with the Guardians. And when we have that size of impact and scale, where we are working with hundreds of developers, thousands of brokers, doing thousands of transactions, over time, of course, the network builds. I think a second big reason is substance. Like if you're actually doing work, you're working hard, you're really like trying to build something, I think, you find your way to people and people find their way to you.
Okay. On that note, Aditya, thank you for coming on the show. I think it was a fascinating journey from one-man broker to one of the Proptechs that's breaking the headlines every few months. Good luck going forward.
Thank you so much, Vishal, and pleasure talking to you. It was very enjoyable for me as well.